straight-A student and a sponge for the sounds and imagery of the 60s pop culture of his youth and beyond. He was a shy yet high-spirited kid whose perfectionist leanings and solitary nature seemed perfectly suited for his original college ambition to become an architect.
What?
Or to become very weird.
Here was a guy who was undeniably strange. I mean, his name is Weird Al.
Mowing my front lawn. I know they're all thinking I'm so wide.
He was so weird that we didn't even speak to him for the first 2 quarters of school.
Do you want to know about Weird Al? Brings his wife to the Playboy Mansion.
The gangsters, so far they all think I'm too wide and dirty.
The question I get the most is, oh, it must be really crazy being married to Weird Al. You know, it is.
Nothing to lose.
Leads you to where you are today.
I believe in storytelling.
Gonna make you a star.
I'm still trying to figure that out.
Really got to know one another.
In the annals of pop music, Weird Al Yankovic is not only an original, but along the way, he also became the best-selling comedy artist in history. During the course of a career that has lasted close to 3 decades, Al has sold more than 12 million albums and earned 3 Grammy Awards. The video for his recent single, White and Nerdy, has been viewed more than 30 million times on the internet sites YouTube and MySpace. In a world where the performers and creators of song parodies and novelty tunes are soon relegated to the category of one-hit wonders, those are impressive statistics.
Al is certainly the most proficient and celebrated funny musician of our time, at least in the English-speaking world. In terms of the overall arc of his career, I don't think there's been anybody who really has had a stronger, more lasting career than he has.
That career and that legacy had its beginnings in small-town California before Alfred Yankovic emerged and took the music world by storm, and by parody, straight out of Linwood.
Well, this is my old town of Linwood. It's a little southeast of Los Angeles, and it's directly adjacent to Compton. And of course, Compton is where a lot of famous rappers come from. So Compton gets all the exposure, all the press, all the props, and so I want to represent for my homies.
Just because I'm white and nerdy. Just because I'm white and nerdy.
Linwood is so great that I hear even Paris Hilton stayed here for a few weeks.
I wanna bowl with the gangsters.
Over here is where Century Bowl used to be, which is where I used to be part of a bowling league when I was 12 years old, but it's gone.
Look at me, I'm white and nerdy.
My parents moved here in 1949, which was the year they were married. And they had me 10 years later, 1959. And Linwood has kind of had a Mayberry vibe, you know, it's sort of the white bread all-American city. In fact, I think it was officially named an all-American city in 1962. My parents were very loving, very supportive, a little on the protective side, which, you know, as a father now, I can certainly understand and appreciate that. But, you know, I was kept on a fairly short leash. My dad was a hero in World War II. He got a Silver Star and a Purple Heart, and he was a medic. He did some pretty heroic things on the battlefield, fought in the Battle of the Bulge. My mother got a degree in business, and for her whole life she was able to use shorthand, which was kind of her secret language. I keep finding little notes of hers that she wrote in shorthand, which is pretty cool. So this is Burton Avenue. This is the street I lived on. And coming up is my grandmother's old house where my grandmother and Aunt Dot used to live. So it's this one over here. There it is. Hello. I was into miniature golf, so they made their backyard into a miniature golf course. Dug up holes, the whole thing. It was amazing. My aunt was a professional cake decorator. She worked for Humphrey's Bakery at Farmer's Market in LA. And every birthday, she would make the most amazing birthday cakes. Well, this is the old high school auditorium where I performed Rebel Without a Cause. I was the gang member Crunch. People are still talking about my performance. It was stellar. Amazing. This is my old house. Under the house there's a basement, and we knocked out one of the walls, and my dad would let me just dig tunnels under the house. We called it the mole house because I would just have, there'd be a whole like infrastructure underneath the house of all these little caves and tunnels, which I can't believe they let me get away with because I was just filthy all the time. When we were living here, the entire front yard was nothing but flowers and daisies, and it was just beautiful and vibrant. This, of course, is we used to be the high school over here, Linwood High. It's now the Linwood Middle School, and this used to be a big open field where I would play with my dog, and my dad and I would play catch. It was just gorgeous. This is the only place I was allowed to ride my bike. My mother would stand here, and my grandmother would stand halfway down the block, and I would ride right down the sidewalk to her house and back again. So that was my venturing out into the world. Woo!
And even the chess team, only question I ever thought was hard, what do I like, Kirk, or do I like Picard?
I watched a lot of TV that informed my sensibilities at an early age, and oh gosh, back in the 60s, that would have been Gilligan's Island, Beverly Hillbillies, Mr. Egg, Green Acres, all that kind of stuff. So I watched that kind of stuff voraciously, and that was a big influence early on.
Al had shown an early passing interest in the guitar, so you might think that when a door-to-door salesman from a local music school came to the house hawking guitar and accordion lessons, the choice would have been obvious. Maybe not.
My parents thought, Alfred's 6 years old, and we should try to develop his musical interests. And gosh, wouldn't it be great if he knew how to play the accordion? It might be partly because of our last name. Frankie Yankovic was America's polka king, and even though we're not related, we just thought, well, maybe there's something in a name. Also, I have to assume they wanted me to be a chick magnet in high school. I learned early on that there was some kind of humor to be gleaned from the juxtaposition of polka music and rock and roll. They don't teach a Led Zeppelin in accordion school.
I've had him come and play accordion on straight stuff of mine, and he just gets it immediately, and he always comes up with the right parts.
A lot of people overlook his musicianship. It's excellent.
He really plays the accordion. I'm just kind of using it to punish people, Nice!
Goodbye Yellow Brick Road by Elton John was one of my favorite albums when I was a teenager, so I just learned the whole thing by ear on the accordion, just memorized it. And all of my friends thought that was really bizarre.
You would have had to have known that he was kind of nerdy prior to him making it.
It's who he was in the beginning, certainly. As a kid, basically growing up, scouring the used bookstores for, old copies of Mad Magazine.
If you want to find out, like, the roots of Weird Al kind of sense of humor, my sense of humor, you can go right back to Mad Magazine.
Once he made it, people, wearing glasses and the curly hair and playing the accordion, for sake. He probably gave a lot of the nerds, a little bit of confidence or a little bit of hope.
Al grew up in the Los Angeles area during the golden age of pop music. As he listened to local radio stations like 93 KHJ and Casey Kasem's weekly American Top 40 show, he soon became an avid chart watcher. Of course, there was also a listening alternative on the other radio band.
Little Bit of Heaven, 94.7, KMET, Tweedledee. That was also the station that carried the Dr. Demento show.
Barrett Hansen, known to his radio listeners as Dr. Demento, had taken to the airwaves in 1970 in the days of freeform progressive underground FM radio. He soon became known for playing the B-sides and little-known songs of artists that would later become famous.
I quickly found that the funny stuff that I played got the most requests. The Monster Mash, They're Coming to Take Me Away, ha-ha, to the Funny Farm.
A friend of mine turned me on to the Dr. Demento show when I was maybe 12 or 13 years old. I tuned in and I was instantly mesmerized by people like Spike Jones, Alan Sherman, Stan Freberg, Tom Lehrer. I was just immediately hooked.
Al was soon inspired to write and record his first song parodies with accordion accompaniment on a small cassette tape player in his room. At the urging of friends, he sent some of them in.
Dr. Demento saw some kind of spark of originality or creativity or something in there, and he played them on the radio, which blew my mind.
Al was very shy in the early days that I knew him. In fact, actually, we laid eyes upon each other 3 years before he ever sent me a tape. I went to Linwood High School and gave a talk, and he told me later that he was one of the crowd of people that came up to me afterwards and asked for an autograph. Of course, little did I know this particular 13-year-old would later play a very large role